All right, here we go. Welcome to the Football and Freedom Show. I am Longhorn, and of course, this is brought to you by the Rebelution Network. You need to find, follow, like, share, and make love to the Rebelution Network. We bring you all this fantastic content for free. So, we don't even ask you to pay us yet. Maybe we will at some point. Before I get to the breakdown of the AFC West division to cover the football part of the Football and Freedom Show, we're going to talk a little bit about the Pride Month. It's Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. Have you flown your rainbow flags? Have you supported your LGBTQ elemental P community? They're everywhere. So if you're not supporting them, you're clearly hating them. And if you're hating them, then you literally wish death upon them. Just the worst monkey, gay, AIDS death ever. And we don't want that. So get your rainbow flags out. It's June. Let's celebrate and support our alphabet community. Because look, nothing says stay out of my bedroom and stay out of my sexual depravity like celebrating an entire month, throwing parades and waving flags and demanding that you love our sexual depravity and what goes on in our bedroom. I can't figure it out. Do we like it? Do we ignore it? Do we celebrate it? Do we let you do your thing? Who knows? Can't fucking keep up. It's just one of those things. But look, in general, I believe in freedom of, do what you want to do. But also, I agree with leave me the fuck out of it. All right. I'm not, as a straight hetero man, I'm not asking you to celebrate and pom what I do in my bedroom. Why can't you do the same? You don't need a whole fucking month. We could have done this. We could have done this in 2 minutes, just like this. Hey, gay guys, gay ladies, all you trannies and homos and queers, whatever's proper these days, you do you, man. You rock out in your bedroom. You stay out of mine, I'll stay out of yours. Look, we're done. That's it. We don't need a whole month. Don't need a whole month to do that. We don't need parades down the street with fucking dildo hats. Don't need that. If you have some of the vagina pussy hats, maybe those are okay, and you could throw those to the side, and some of us will come along and pick them up, and maybe those are useful. So keep those around and share the pussy hats. We could certainly use some of those, for the dry times, for when it gets a little dry and your prospects are running a little low. You could use the vagina hats. Anyways, enough of that. Enough of the gay people. Hey, we got 29 more days. So that's enough on this show for the gay stuff. So let's move on to football. The other most awesome thing in the world besides freedom is football. And let's continue the series of breaking down the draft classes of the 2022 NFL draft. We're going to focus on the AFC West. I'll try to remember to give out grades. Sometimes I forget. Look, guys, really, if you're hanging on grades for these teams, then you're doing it wrong. Let me just talk about some of the players. Let me make fun of some of their names. And then we'll just move on. That's the way you do it. If you want the real, just deep dive breakdowns, this ain't the show for you. This is to have fun. What we do over at FGH, which you get with your subscription to the Rebelution Network. Those are the deep dives. Those are when we take it really, really seriously. But here on this show, we're gonna have a little fun. So let's start with Kansas City, who, by the way, I'm not. The consensus is that they're taking a step back immediately to take 2 steps forward in the future and bust open this rebuild that they're doing. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad idea. I actually think this is going to be a great move for them in the long run. Let me run down their extensive draft list. It looks like 10 people off the top. But let's see. Trent McDuffie, cornerback out of Washington. George Karlaftis, Purdue defensive end, outside linebacker, 2 first-round picks. Sky Moore, wide receiver, Western Michigan. Brian Cook, safety from Cincinnati, 2 second-round picks. Now let's go to the 3rd round. Leo Chenal, Wisconsin inside linebacker. Joshua Williams, small school, Fayetteville State cornerback. Really like him in the 4th round. Darian Kennard, a 5th-round Kentucky offensive guard who might come in and push for a starting job. Jalen Watson, now we're at 3 7th-rounders. Jalen Watson, Isaiah Pacheco, and Nazeeh Johnson. Running back, quarterback, and safety. 7th round, who gives a shit? So let's focus on the top. Trent McDuffie and George Karlaftis, they are going to be immediate impact starters on the defense. I don't particularly love George Karlaftis. I think he's one of those just effort, white, Big Ten from Purdue, outside linebackers that has a history of hitting really big, like think of TJ Watt. I just don't see the athleticism from George Karlaftis that you see from TJ Watt. So while I don't think he's necessarily going to be a bust, I don't really see all pro potential for him, but not a bad pick. Now, what they did in the 2nd round was Sky Moore and Brian Cook. Those are 2 players that are going to come in and play heavy minutes. And even into the 3rd round, the inside linebacker from Wisconsin, he's going to come in and push for some serious playing time for them also. Just heavily invested into the defensive side of the ball, and sprinkled in Sky Moore, who went way later than I think he should have. So really like what Kansas City did. Again, traded the speedy receiver and really busted open this window with this plethora of draft picks that they accumulated. So, when you have a quarterback that's making 40 to 50 million, whatever he's making, you have to bust open windows. And I think they did a fantastic job with this draft. So I would give that a solid A. I like a lot of what they did there. So let's move on to the Las Vegas Raiders, who did not have a pick into the 3rd round. So this will be nice and easy. Dylan Parham, guard from Memphis. Zamir White, running back from Georgia. Neil Farrell, LSU defensive tackle. Matthew Butler, Tennessee defensive tackle. Thayer Munford, that's a good pick for them in the 7th round. He was a more of a high 3rd round guy. Ohio State offensive tackle, and Britton Brown, running back from UCLA. Obviously, what Vegas did, they made the big trade for Davante Adams. That's kind of their big move in the offseason. Don't hate what they did. I think they got a starter in Dylan Parham in the 3rd round. I think Zamir White is a eventual starter for them. They did not franchise Josh Jacobs. So, you sprinkle him in this year and you let him take over next year. A couple of defensive tackles they took in the 4th and in the 5th round. They're weak in that department. Those are good big bodies to move in there to have some rotational depth. So don't hate at all what Vegas did with what they had. Again, the big move to get Davante Adams, that could be monstrous. I heard recently that when Carr and Adams, their senior year, I think Carr threw like 50 touchdowns, and I think 24 of them were to Davante Adams. So that combination, that chemistry they had in college at Fresno State, they are certainly hoping that continues along and happens here again with this season. Now let's move on to, let me get my bearings here. The Chargers. All right. So for a team that had, a couple of holes to fill, what they've done, the combination of what they have done between free agency and the draft, A+. I'm going to give them an A+ grade on the draft, and I'm just going to wrap it up with the entire offseason of what they did. They have knocked it out of the park. Down the list, Zion Johnson, instant starting guard from Boston College. Didn't have a 2nd round pick. What did they did? Oh, that's the Khalil Mack. So that's their offseason move. Bring in Khalil Mack to be opposite Bosa on the other side. Great move. 3rd round, JT Woods, Baylor safety. He's kind of a move around safety that with speed. That's going to fit in real nicely next to Derwin James. Love that pick. Go to the 4th round, Isaiah Spiller. This is a guy that could have gone in the 2nd round. Big running back that can take the load. He's going to be able to push this Eckler into a more comfortable role for him, which is a guy that doesn't get 20 touches a game, a guy that gets more like 10 to 12 touches. So really love that fit for them there. Now, as you get into the 5th, 6th, and 7th round, it's a bunch. And actually, you know what? Let me focus on the 6th round. Jameer Sawyer. This is a guy that was supposed to go in the 3rd round. They get him in the 6th. Don't be surprised if, along with Zion Johnson, that he's also pushing for a starting job. There's talk that they could kick either Sawyer or Matt Filer out to tackle if Sawyer can take one of these spots. So really, really like what they did. Again, A+ offseason for the Chargers. And, with what they've already had and what they brought in this offseason, there's no reason why they can't make this big step and be a Super Bowl contender for sure. Now, let's move on to the last team in this division, and it is the Denver Broncos. This whole division made a bunch of fucking offseason moves. Literally every team made a big splash in the offseason. And of course, Denver's was bringing in Russell Wilson. So they did not have a 1st-round pick. Moved to the 2nd round. They took Nick Bonito outside linebacker, from Oklahoma. This is a strictly pass rushing outside linebacker. He's not going to give you much else. He's much like a Hassan Reddick, who's been kind of a designated pass rusher in the several teams that he's played for. He's much like that, but on a team that doesn't have a whole lot of holes. Really like this fit for Nick Bonito to come in there and just be a spot pass rusher and get after the quarterback when they need him. 3rd round, Greg Dulcich, UCLA tight end. Wasn't a big fan of that, but tight end was kind of a spot they needed to address. They traded Noah Fant in the deal for Wilson. They have Albert O, who they drafted a couple years ago. High-end, height, speed, weight prospect. Hasn't showed much, obviously, yet because he's been behind Noah Fant. But now he has a chance to start. We'll see what he can do with Greg Dulcich behind him. Damari Mathis, Pittsburgh cornerback. Again, the rest of these guys, I'll read them off. Well, actually, I'm going to skip the African guy's name because I'm tired of trying to read African guy's name. You're not going to get me anymore. It's Iyamoya Awarzuki. It's the best I can do. And then we got Delaren Turner-Yell, Montreal, Washington. Luke Wattenberg, that's actually an interesting pick, center out of Washington. We'll see what he can develop into in the 5th round. Matt Henningson. You know what? Matt Henningson was a guy that I targeted doing the draft prep. He was supposed to go in that 5th, 6th round, so they got him there. He's you can't move him, defensive tackle out of Wisconsin. And then Phelan Hicks, however you pronounce it, Wisconsin cornerback. So these are a bunch of guys that are going to be depth pieces, rotational pieces at best, besides Nick Bonito and Greg Dulcich at the top. So, you know what? For what they had, I'm not blown away by it, honestly. I would give this probably a B-, to be honest. But with that said, what I will say about this entire division, one of these teams is going to get last place in this division, which is a shame because they might actually get last place with a winning record of 9-7. And I actually did hear somebody said that it's possible that with the way the schedule lays out, it's possible that every one of these teams could win double digits in this division. So it's possible we could have a 10-7 team. Yeah, there's 17. So not 9-7. So a 9-8 or 10-7 last place team. And every single one of them, Las Vegas, Denver, the Chargers, and the Chiefs, if you told me every single one of them won the division or was last place, I wouldn't call you crazy. That's how amazingly tight and awesome this division is going to be to watch. Certainly the most interesting division in the league. So we don't, over at FGH, we'll do our preseason predictions. That's still another month or two away. We'll see how the rest of the offseason develops out before I get into any kind of predictions on that. But my goodness, this one could go a million different ways. So, all right, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Football and Freedom Show. Be sure to follow the Rebelution Network, where you get a plethora of shows, including this one. We got the I Mean It show with Bo Cephas. We got the Bastards of Babylon which is starting to put up big numbers. Appreciate all of you out there for sharing and following that and keeping up with all those downloads. And of course, coming real soon back to the football season is the Football Glory Hole, FGH, the flagship, where it all got started. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode. I will be back. It looks like I've got 2 more divisions to wrap up on this draft situation. And then we'll move on to the next thing, but we'll see you then.